Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Big hello to all the new subscribers. Thank you for subscribing. Weather's a little yuck. It's raining out, been raining for a few days, but I can't complain. We had a stretch of good weather there. And it looks like I'm going to have some plums on my plum tree. Cross the fingers. Anyway, we're back here on this beautiful, beautiful piece of American outboard from 1982. I think 82 or 83. It is the Mercury 4-cylinder, 2-stroke, 50 horsepower. I finally got it together and so forth, and so first thing I want to do is get it over here. And if you remember, I brought it in the first time and I did this. Okay, started on the Mercury here. Got the carburetors off, did a little cleaning on it. And carburetors did not look bad at all. In fact, they looked like they had just nice clean 2-cycle oil in them. Like somebody actually fogged them properly. But I went ahead and took it apart, put some tri-flow in there and some compressed air. I'll do the same to the top one, just to make sure they're clean before I button them all back in there. So then I'll go out and get the starter and so forth, and I got to figure out how to rig up that choke and all. I found an extra set of 50 carburetors, which I just will keep to have on hand. I'm not going to use either one of them. But I found that an electric choke, plus there's the manual choke setup, and this piece on the original one was broke. Right there. I tested the electric choke solenoid and all there. It works just fine. Then I needed a starter solenoid. There it is. And there's my starter bracket. So I got some painting to do, some cleaning up to do. I got to fix the recoil start. But it seems like off that old salty, crusty 50 I had in here a couple years ago, I saved all the right stuff, because I got everything I need now to put electric start plus pull start on this cutie. Alright, so here she is. There's how I set up the switch. I just got my terminals wrapped around the transom clamp handles. But so my hot wire comes in. Well, this is the original place where the solenoid mounts, and the way I know that is it was still mounted to this other bracket here, this front bracket. I had to take that off, as well as these two bolts hold on the electric choke under there. I'll show you that. But essentially you run a hot wire, and you continue the hot wire to the hot side right there. Then you run a hot wire from here to your key switch, and then you run a hot wire from S1 on the solenoid to the key switch. And I'll show you that key switch in a minute. Then you ground your other battery terminal right there to the ground, and then the starter is grounded to the other bracket, so it fits in there nice and neat. Then you just tuck everything under there, and then I found this little bracket, and it allowed me to mount my key switch here. I still have my stop switch. I'm going to replace that with a man overboard switch. That's why I didn't tie it into the key switch, because I got quite a few of these key switches with keys that are not the man overboard style, and I have several of the man overboard stop buttons, so I'll just replace that, and that way I'll have my man overboard switch. But everything tucks in there really neat. This bracket here was one I took off that old Salty 50, as well as this bottom bracket. Then I had to find the bolts that fit in there, and so did that. Put on the different flywheel with the teeth, and then I've got some writing right up under there, and what that says, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. Especially, it's in there. It basically says C to A and S to A. Those are the two terminals on the back of this key switch. There's about 5 terminal screws back there where you screw the wires on. So in order to get the choke to work, I went from C to A, and that, so when I push the key, the choke works. And then when I go from S to A, when I come all the way over to the start, I don't have a battery hooked up right now, but when I come over to the start, that'll turn the engine over, then I push down and that engages the choke. So that's how I got it set up. And everything's in its pretty much original position. This would have been the way this was just like the one I had that was real salty. It was set up just like this, minus the tiller handle, shift handle setup that this one has. All right. Now, if we come around this side, oh, move that top bonnet. There's the carbs, and then I had to figure out how all this linkage in here hooks up to the electric choke, because the one I got on here, they had a piece of baling wire on there, and that wasn't good. So give me just a second. Alrighty, if you look right here, you can see the cylinder that operates the choke and the solenoid and all right in there. And I hooked it to my little power pack, so now when I push the key, you can see what the choke does. So that's how I activate my choke. So while I'm turning the engine over, I'm not going to turn the engine over because I ain't got it hooked to water or a fuel tank. But when I turn it over, so I had to play with that a while. I had pictures in a manual, but they really weren't very clear. So I'll just show you how that linkage goes. Luckily, I saved all this, the whole mechanisms and everything, and I do have a manual choke as well, right there. So, but yeah, I don't see where I would much need that because I got electric, but I guess if I didn't have a battery or whatever and I wanted to start it, there I go, I have a manual set up. So she came out really clean, really nice, and so now, before I show you this beautiful piece of American outboard made equipment doing what it was designed to do, here you go. Had money to tell you what to do. Go downtown and buy Mercury too. I'm crazy about the Mercuries. I'm gonna get myself a Mercury. I'm gonna buy me a Mercury and put it on the back of my boat. And my sweet darling, she's a little whack, says she wants it big. She says she wants it black. That girl of Mercury. I got to get that girl of Mercury. I'm gonna find a gal of Mercury and put it on the back of my boat. Yeehaw. Well, I went up to the bank, got myself a loan, found me a Mercury, brought that motor home. I went and got a Mercury. You know I went and bought that Mercury. Well, I got myself a Mercury, I put it on the back of my boat. Now my little boat is really, really fast. Sits out in the driveway, I can't afford no gas. I got myself a Mercury, I bought myself a Mercury. Well, I went and bought a Mercury, I put it on the back of my boat. Yeah, I went and got a Mercury, now I gotta pay off that note. Well, I went and bought a Mercury, buddy, that's all that she wrote. You understand? Well, there she is in all her beauty. 50 horsepower, 2-stroke, 4-cylinder. Mercury fitting. I put the key switch right here on a little bracket because I wanted to be able to activate the choke and the start from the same switch. So if you listen, you'll hear a clicking noise. When I push the key switch, it activates the electric choke. And then I got my start. So I'll go into more detail on what all I did to it here a bit earlier or later, depending on how I edit this. But let's put some water to it, give her a start. Some water. It actually pulls over a lot easier than I thought it would. So, came in here with no electric start. And I said, I don't want to be pull starting a 50 horsepower 4-cylinder, you understand. So I got me a flywheel. And I put it on there. Then I went out my parts and I got me starters and pieces and solenoids, and we're going to go over all that. And an electric choke. You understand. She shifts good, starts good. Nice old Mercury.